Hey there people of the internet, my name is Sivana and welcome to my studio. As I promised in the comments of my last video, this week's drawing is another Nightmare game character, because I haven't done one in a while. But before I get into it, I just wanted to remind everyone that I am now putting out new videos every other week instead of every week because of work schedules and stuff. Now with that settled, let's get into the drawing. So this is Marvin. He's a ghost. Sort of. See, when me and Krista were younger, we had this running joke that we were haunted by a ghost, that she named Marvin, and he would just take our stuff all the time or do mildly annoying things. Now, I don't know if I can necessarily say that I believe in ghosts, at least not the way they're portrayed as like wandering or malevolent spirits, but I have seen and experienced some weird and unexplainable things, like seeing the silhouette of a man behind my dresser in broad daylight, or both my screen door and front door spontaneously opening and then closing slowly, or somehow all the cabinets in my kitchen being opened, or hearing some guy yell in my garage but no one being there. The list goes on. The point is, I don't know if it's ghosts, but I believe there are definitely some things we just can't explain. In the case of Marvin, though, he was a friendly ghost that followed us around, no matter what house we moved to. And if weird things happen, like something falling for no reason, or something going missing just to be found in a place it was most definitely not at, we would blame Marvin. It became such a normal thing that even my parents would start referencing him when weird stuff happened or things went missing. It was all actually pretty funny, and I just got to thinking about why Marvin was doing these things. Who was he? What was he really like? Did he just like to mess with us to let us know he was still around? I eventually thought of him as a protective spirit that kept all the bad ones away, and it was just really nice thinking of him like that. And then of course the artist/writer in me wanted to personify him even more, so I added him to the Nightmare game. In the story, he is basically exactly who he was in real life, or at least in our imagined form of who he was. He is a ghost, a protective spirit who lives in the darkest parts of Vine's nightmares, to keep all of the horrible things at bay. He's basically the Grim Reaper for nightmares or nightmare monsters, which is why he has this cool scythe, and also just because I really like scythes, it's like my favorite weapon, but also why he's in an overgrown, disheveled graveyard. He needs to make sure all the monsters stay dead and buried where they can't hurt anyone. This is also the first drawing I've ever done of Marvin, since I guess there really wasn't a need to in the past, and I just wanted him to look really sad, which is a weird thing to want. And I couldn't just have him clothed in all black, because then how would you see his cool Jedi-turned-Sith outfit? That's a mouthful, but you know what I mean. So I went with blues and browns, because you know, he's a blue boy. And then I just made him really dirty, because he's digging all these graves all the time, and fighting monsters, and probably has some dried blood stains mixed in with all that dirt. I also figured he would get hurt too, which is why he's covered in bandages. But his pretty face is squeaky clean, though there will be a cool reveal for his eye that's currently covered by his emo hair. I just really love his design, you guys. Oh, also, the red jewel on his scythe traps souls that he has to feed on in order to live. You know, fun ghost stuff. Ghost stuff. Ghost stuff. I wonder how many times I said "you know" in those last few sentences. Probably way too much. You know? For the background, I just found a couple different reference photos of old overgrown graveyards, and just kept it pretty loose with the coloring, which is why the graves kinda just look like boxes, but whatever. And then I just used a soft airbrush to add a kind of gradient shading on the tombstones, and then used this cool crackle effect to make it look like weathered stone, like they've been there for a really long time. I didn't add a whole lot of highlights for this piece because there isn't much light coming through the trees, except maybe moonlight, but I am really happy with how it turned out and proud of myself for getting better at trees, because I love trees, I've just never been great at drawing them. So I've kind of just been forcing myself to make vague tree-like shapes that might look kind of wonky, but then color them really well so that you don't notice how wonky they actually are, and making these darker background pieces really helps to hide a lot of those janky shapes. These two front tombstones are my favorite, and I tried out a new brush that I don't remember the name of because there are like 15 million brushes in Photoshop, to make it look like there might have actually been words carved into them at some point, but they're so old and corroded that they just look like smudges now. I was just experimenting and thought it looked cool. I suppose I kind of took away his whimsical side of randomly taking our stuff, but that'll just be how he communicates with Vine and Dawn. He was also mostly always at my house, and come to think of it, I haven't seen or heard from him since I moved to Michigan, which is kind of a bummer. I wish he came with me. But maybe he did, and he just hasn't felt the need to let me know that he's around. Well, wherever he is, and whatever he is, he will always be a big part of my childhood, and will forever be remembered in Nightmare Game. Thank you, Marvin. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and a little peek into mine and Marvin's backstory. Remember to take care and be nice to your friendly ghosts. I'll see you in the next one.